tell they notice me. Trying to tell you, baby, I just wanna take my team all the way to the top where we supposed to be. Keep them hitters way down underneath my feet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to feed my family. Lord, keep me safe while I'm out.
What's going on, family? This is Salamahn.
It's your boy A.D.
You're watching
Reparations TV.
A.D., I had an epiphany yesterday about how, it being Black History Month and all, it's nice that we talk about the great men and women of African descent in America and the contributions to society and all of their accomplishments and things of that nature. I think it's important to talk about also the state of where we are as the totality of us in this country, because the epiphany that I really had was, it's funny how, I think when people on the outside, not in the Black community, watch and listen to us talk about where we are and stuff like that, they say things like, oh, well, you guys can't be that far off. Look, you have Oprah, you have Jay-Z, you got Tiger Woods, and you have these successful Black people, and they seem to be kind of like singling these people out as examples of why everything must be okay and even Stevens between the Black experience and other experiences
Black
in this
excellence,
country.
yeah, and I understand everything that you're saying as far as singling out the Oprahs and the Jay-Z's and the Beyoncés and everybody that's a millionaire from our culture. They don't talk about the underbelly of society other than to say, what about the murder rate in Chicago? Or what about the crime in Baltimore? Or what about, the violence in Philadelphia? But they hardly link crime to poverty. And I feel like they don't want to do that, because then they would be forced to examine the culture at a whole, and not even just that, but how there's been such a concerted effort to keep Black people from not having and white people from having. Our accomplishments have been stripped from us, and we weren't even credited for a lot of the things that we did come up with and invent in this nation. And white people have reaped the benefits of our labor for hundreds and hundreds of years, and what have they really done to show appreciation for it? They imprison us at a disproportionate rate. Blacks do drugs to the same degree as whites, but Black people get harsher sentences for similar drugs, whereas cocaine and crack cocaine are legislated completely freaking differently. I was about to say the other F word. But this is a family show we have going on here. Now, all this to say is, I think that we can't look at it like things are all bad, because there's so many people that want to tell you, oh, it's terrible. Black people are just not winning out here, and they're just so poverty stricken and crime ridden, and there's no hope for them. And then there are other people that want to paint things through rose colored glasses. I think that there's a lot of good going on, and there's a lot of bad going on. We must acknowledge the good, praise it, give it a round of applause, and we must also acknowledge the bad. We must also condemn that, and we must also find a way to eliminate and eradicate a lot of the negative things that happen in our community.
I agree. And to that note, I feel as though what we really need to do as a whole, I'm not just talking about Black America, but even white America and other America, is really start looking at the reality of what the situation really is. I think part of the reason why, as the totality of us, why we're still in the same condition that we're in, is because there's really never been a full acknowledgement about what's going on with us. You have these one-off events that happen, and they get caught on camera, and it's like, oh, that was a horrible, terrible thing that happened. But very seldom does anything get done. There's very little justice, if ever. I mean, even going all the way back to Rodney King and the Trayvon Martin, and even the cases that you didn't hear about. Those just were the ones that were televised. The ones that weren't televised, the stuff that happens every day. I think that on both sides of the coin, Black America and white America, there needs to be a reality check that we need to have and acknowledge and understand what's really going on here. And I feel like that would be the first and most important step for us to really figure out how to move forward to get to a better state. Because, as much as some folks like to say, when they see videos like that on the internet, like the George Floyd, they say, this is not us, this is not America. I don't know what reality you've been living in, but this has always been America. It started off like that. So I feel like that cognitive dissonance and things like that is the reason why we're still in the same condition today. No one's asking for a handout or anything like that, but in order for us to move forward in perfect harmony, like some folks, will claim that they like to see. There's one thing to claim you want to see that, but then there's another thing to put in the effort and acknowledge the reality.
They really need to see it.
Yeah, some folks, some folks are genuine. They really do want to, see that. But the problem is they don't even know. They can't even fathom the full reality of the situation. There's so many things that even they never even heard of. So we need to take the steps to figure out what's really going on, and that starts from things like, even as the youth, like what we learn in history class and things like that. Like, we need to start off with that, and also not completely depend on the educational system. For those that are that feel in their hearts that history classes and things like that are lackluster, I don't blame you. However, you can't put all of your eggs in one basket when it comes to that. It's your job as a parent at home to educate your children on who they are as a people, the history of this country, the history of themselves, so that they can better understand themselves.
Yeah, because kids need to know who they are in this world. They need to know where they came from. They need to know what they're capable of, because of all the great people that preceded them in this world. They have all of those characteristics within them and within their culture, within their race. And I think that there just hasn't been enough to highlight how many people were really great from our culture and in this country, and prior to us even arriving on these shores. Another thing is, just when you look at the state of Black America, I think that there needs to be accountability. Right?
I agree.
And accountability needs to come from whites as well as blacks, because
agreed.
It's easy to say, look at you, all you want to do is rob and sell drugs and rap and play basketball and strip and do the busted challenge. It's easy to say that's all you want, but Black people didn't get there by ourselves. We had a lot more than a little bit of help, did we not? And it's time that people start acknowledging what was done to place us in poverty, to keep us from access to higher education, to keep us from having the best quality air, all the way down to like the Great Green Divide, to where in a white neighborhood, you can tell they have more wealth based on the height of the trees there. In a Black neighborhood, our trees are like Muggsy Bogues' height. We got 5'3" trees out here.
If at all, if any at all.
Any trees. You might go a couple blocks and not see a tree, and then you might walk 2 and 3 blocks and not see a grocery store, but you see 4 liquor stores and a convenience store and a fried chicken store.
Popeyes.
Yeah. So if every corner is lake trout and fried chicken, my veins are full of lake trout and fried chicken. If the air quality is poor, I'm not able to think as clearly because I'm not getting the quality of oxygen that I'm supposed to get, whereas that white kid in a neighborhood 15 miles away might have air quality that's 75% better than mine. So he's probably thinking 75% clearer than we're thinking, but nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to blame us for all of our issues. But another thing is, we need to hold ourselves accountable as well.
10,000%.
There's so many Black people that become successful, and because they're successful, they don't want to bring anybody along with them. Now, I really despise the culture of thinking that Oprah is supposed to fix everybody's problems, and Jay-Z's got to bail everybody out of jail. Like, these brothers, these sisters, they can't do everything for everybody. But I do believe there needs to be much more accountability from people who come from impoverished areas or low income areas that are black and have the ability to go out and speak to the youth, have the ability to let them know that there's another way to make it. And so many people are scared to go back because they're scared that they look like, a wolf, a sheep, in a wolf's house, pretty much. And they don't want to be fooled, so they don't go back. But you need to reach back and give and push the culture forward, because without the youth, we don't really have a future generation. Mm-hmm. So that's really the biggest point that I want to make, is accountability on both sides needs to be had, because black people didn't put ourselves in these situations by ourselves. Some of it, and some of the time, we are our own worst enemy. Mm-hmm. And we can't always look to play the victim without demanding the best from ourselves. But we also know that whites can't try to place all of the blame on us when they created this society to keep us subservient and inferior.
I agree with a lot of what you said, and just want to put an exclamation point on the notion that there needs to be accountability on both sides. But being a black man in America, I try to put as much weight on myself as I do anybody else for us being in the position that we're in, because knowing what I know about our history, we have an innate responsibility to at least try to the best of our ability to, not to stay in that situation. Like, just because, this is an unnatural situation that we're in, whereas though, hey, we didn't start off like this. We didn't even start off in this country. We were forced to come here, and, the atrocities that we went through between that point and today, they still go on to this day. However, we do need to have a lot more accountability as black people to, pretty much acknowledge the wrong, but at the same time, what are you going to do to help your situation? Well, all that being said, that's all the time we got for today. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'd like to hear from you guys. Subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/reparationsbrand. Check out our website, reparationsbrand.com. And also any...
Get you a hoodie.
Hoodies.
See something.
Hats, things of that nature. See what you like up there. And also any questions, comments, things like that, specifically dealing with stuff that we say on the podcast, shoot us an email at tv@reparationsbrand.com. We would love to hear from all of you all sitting at home watching us. And we appreciate your viewership and attention.
Yeah, happy Black History Month to everybody, and to the residents of Texas right now. We want to send our prayers out to you. Y'all on our minds. We hope that y'all can get through this cold and these tough, arduous times that y'all are dealing with right now. Just know we out here thinking about y'all. Now, this is AD.
This is Salamahn.
And this is
Reparations TV.